Hi there. Getting ready to go home from work, and I wanted to do a little video update on everything. But specifically, I wanted to talk about what I feel is spiritual persecution. And not just in my own life, but in the lives of fellow believers, and good people in general that I've seen their videos in the last week and a half, discussing the things that they're going through. Okay, number one, Truther Girl Sonya has talked about ongoing issues, but specifically some trials that she had been going through recently with her son and his struggles. And so what I'm getting, though, is that this persecution is not so much of defeat, but something that we are kind of victorious at the same time. Like we are experiencing frustration and roadblocks, but at the same time we are making strides in other directions. Okay. Number two, State of Daniel. Haven't seen a lot of his videos, but recently saw a video where he came out to his car and somebody had smashed in his windshield. Okay. And it was just like, what he was saying was, of course, of all the times for something else to occur, right now, I get my windshield smashed in amongst everything else going on in his life. And then, just a little update with me. In the last day and a half, I've had 3 unusual things occur. Number one, yesterday on the freeway, the 91, going toward Torrance to meet up with family, my wife's driving, I'm in the passenger side, and we hear crack. A stone or something hit our windshield, caused a big circular crack in the middle of the windshield. And of course that shook us up, and I began thinking right away that was probably somebody off the road, some kid or some adult with a slingshot, aiming at people's windshield. Because every once in a while in Southern California, I hear that on my car, either on the hood or, somewhere, pow, And I remember a few years back, the whole incidents of somebody who was doing that. They had a wrist rocket and they were shooting these huge glass marbles at people's windshields. And that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like a C, not quite a circular, but like a C with, if it just hit that much harder, our whole windshield would have shattered. So thank God that didn't happen. Okay, then we go to church, and my wife's nephew, he's deacon at this church. He's walking up the altar, and he trips, and he falls down on the altar. Just crazy. But earlier, before we had left, I hit my head on the trunk of the car and kind of tweaked my neck a little. And so luckily I think I was able to kind of just stretch my neck downward like this, and I felt it kind of readjust itself. But very odd things occurring yesterday. So we're coming home on the 91 off the Artesia entrance to the 91 freeway. We get about a mile in, and there's this huge, like, literally 10-foot structure, like a frame, a metal frame that had fallen off some kind of a truck, blocking the middle lane, like 3/4 of the way, and like all these cars are like swerving, and we're like, whoa, it was crazy. I called 911, said non-emergency. There's a huge, obstruction in the road, and so here we are, our windshield got a crack. We had to swerve. We're like, almost hitting this object. And, it's just, so then, okay, a little bit more, like, back on this, like, on Saturday, I went out to see my dad again. We think we found a buyer for the car. That's great. But then I find out that the night before, my dad's been, he had like really bad headache, and he was shivering, and he was like nauseous. So we're thinking right away, okay, yeah, he's dehydrated. And, I guess he was doing a little bit better on Saturday. And we told him, you gotta drink water. We got him some electrolyte powder, and put it in some water. We're like, you gotta drink this. Like literally on Saturday, we're like, drink this, And this morning, I get up, and like right before I'm going to work, we get a call from his wife, and she's like, oh my gosh, we gotta take him to the hospital, and he can't get out of bed. He's weak, and so I called him at lunch and found out, they did like 10 blood tests. They thought maybe there was some medications that were contradicting each other, because he was taking some antibiotics that he got from the dentist, and the doctor said, you don't need to take those anymore. You only need to take them for 10 days. But the dentist gave him like 30 days worth of antibiotic or something crazy like that. And so then they said, yeah, you're dehydrated. Of course, we told my dad. And he's been walking to the donut shop every day down the block in the heat of the day, and stubborn, not drinking enough water. Or just not thirsty because of the medications he's taking or something. I don't know. Anyway, he says he feels a lot better. It's like all these little things that are happening that, yeah, they're discouraging, but at the same time, I feel like we're pushing through, and we're gonna have victory. It's kind of a weird thing. And then my wife calls me today, and she's like, emergency, sends me a text, emergency, call me. And right away I was thinking, oh, it's my dad. But no, it's some weird guy who was driving his bike past our house. He sees the water flowing down our driveway, because my wife's spraying off the driveway and sweeping the patio off. Water's coming out from the gate and going down the driveway. This guy, I think he's like homeless, but he drives his bike back and forth all the time, and comes up and he's like yelling over our gate at my wife, saying, I'm going to report you guys to the city. You guys use too much water. You guys, you're going over your limit. I watch you guys all the time. You water your lawns way too much. Blah, 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 blah. And of course, my wife, scared, runs in the house, locks both doors, and calls me. And I'm like, you got to report this to the sheriff. Please call the sheriff. I'm like overloaded at work. I'm worried about my dad. I'm like, today is like insane. It's a Monday, and it's like more insane than any other Monday ever. And I'm like, yeah, honey, you got to call the sheriff. You just, this is harassment. I mean, who is this guy, And we don't even have water restrictions in our city anymore. They've been lifted. And it's like this guy's taking it upon himself to like run around the neighborhood and harass people. And I don't even think he's like designated as such, or he's just some homeless guy or something. So, and it just seems like there's all these little disturbances. And to me, it's like spiritual. It's like these are things that are caused, by those who are out of sync, and we all fall into that category at times. But it starts to push against, well, let's just say this, children of light. I'm not saying that I'm holier than thou or anything like that. I'm just saying that I'm looking toward God. I'm looking toward His heart. I'm not saying I'm trying to be holier than thou or whatever. I'm just saying that we're all going through some kind of spiritual upheaval right now. And I feel like this is a season of persecution. But I think that it's going to be victorious for God's children. I think we need to just hunker down, claim His promises, and be encouraged, continue to push forth the truth and the life. God bless everyone. God bless us all. And I look forward to my next video.